Hey everyone, our next guest is, how do you pronounce your last name? Sorry, Sumpter?
Sumpter.
George Sumpter. I was going to say that, but if I don't ask, I'll say it wrong, and then I look like a fool. So, you from the YouTube channel GenXGrownUp. So you've been doing that for 8 years? Is that right? The first upload 8 years ago?
Going on 9 now, 2017.
Okay, all right. When you first uploaded that first video, did you have any idea where it would go from there? Like, I mean, merch and Midwest Gaming Classic and,
No, I mean, not only did I had no idea where it was going to go, I'll tell the story of how I got started. So John, who is basically the face of the channel, he does most of the videos. I do a couple of them a week. But I was at a convention called MegaCon, and I was standing in line getting him a birthday gift, an autograph of a sled that he wanted. And he texted me, and he said, "Hey, I want to do a YouTube channel." I said, "What do we want to do a YouTube channel for? We're old. What's the point of that?" And then he told me the name, GenXGrownUp. And coming from a business and marketing background, that was something that I could latch on to. And I'm like, oh, that's something, okay, that's got a nice ring to it. I could do something with that. And so we produced just a couple of videos. I think the first one might have been where he built this little T800 knockoff Lego build thing or something. And then somebody sent us some of those bone conducting sunglasses back before they were really a thing. And it was like, if we got 15 views, we were stoked. We were like, woo!
Right.
Wow, 15 other people watch this video. I remember when we got to 100 subscribers the first time, we were at 97 subscribers for a week. And I was just tired of it. It was a Saturday evening, and I was sitting in the living room with my wife and my youngest son, and I just looked at my youngest son and said, "Go get 4 of your friends and make them subscribe to my channel so I can be over 100 so we can get monetized," because that's what it was.
Back then, that's what it was,
Yeah. So, no, I had no idea we would be at 177,000 subs and 1,000 subs a day and all this. No.
I feel like 99% of YouTube channels started with, "Hey man, I think we should start a YouTube channel."
Yeah.
Like that's the start. So you kind of do it all. So you have your YouTube channel, obviously successful, but you Twitch stream and you podcast regularly.
We do. Yeah.
Is there a format you prefer? Like, do you like the long form videos, short form videos, or just podcasts, audio only?
I think we prefer the long form video format on YouTube because John's background is in television production. He was a television director for 25 years.
Okay.
And that was part of the reason why he wanted to do the YouTube channel, because the job he had moved into was in the backside of things, where it was a company that was building the equipment and software for television studios, but he wasn't directing anymore. And so he wanted to scratch that creative itch a little bit. And those long form videos where he gets to tell the story, that's the part that we tend to gravitate towards and enjoy, because everything we do, being GenXGrownUp, it's about nostalgia, it's about the story, it's about remembering what was fond about the things we loved growing up. We started off as a variety thing. It wasn't just gaming, it was movies and TV shows and
just
music
whatever you
and everything.
liked.
Yeah, any Gen X stuff, we loved it. That's what we talked about. YouTube beat us into submission and said, "No, you're a retro gaming channel." But the podcast, the Twitch, all that stuff has stayed pretty broad and true to form. So we like the storytelling.
Yeah, I think, and everyone consumes YouTube differently. I personally, though, I would prefer to put something on that has, like we're being Gen X, like we're the TV generation. We're not the YouTube generation.
Right.
So do you find yourself consuming the type of content that you make? I find myself not really consuming YouTube as much as I don't have a channel anymore, but when I did.
Yeah, no, it is hard to find the time to enjoy. It's so, like, if you are a person who loves building and fixing cars, and then you get a job as an auto mechanic, you'll go to that person's house and they'll have 3 or 4 cars in all broken down pieces of condition because they don't want to fool with it when they get home.
Right.
That's kind of what happens with us too. We produce like anywhere between 4 and 7 videos a week. You're just so time swamped that when you get done with it, it's just, I'll sit and I'll rewatch an episode of Castle before I'll go watch some YouTube stuff sometimes. But every now and then, I'm on YouTube Shorts and just doom scrolling for hours, and I'm like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. What happened?
Growing up, we all had what I call, so a little about me, I'm just a video game store owner. So I talk a lot to my customers about what their video game journey was. So kind of walk me through that. What was the first console you had? And then through the years as you grew up, what company or what consoles did you have? Like, what were you playing? Stuff like that.
Yeah, so first console I had was the Atari VCS 2600. Had that for a long, long time. Played Pac-Man, even though everybody hates Pac-Man on that system. I love Pac-Man on the VCS. It's one of my favorites.
It beat going to the arcade and putting quarters in the machine.
Exactly. Now, I did that. Then I had a Commodore 64 for a while. I didn't get into other consoles until probably the Nintendo 64 era. Everything before that, I was on PCs and playing PC gaming. But for the arcade, that's really where all my gaming history comes from. Like those, we grew up when what you had at home paled in comparison to what was in the mall. And so my favorite game of all time is Galaga. I would go and play that till my fingers were numb. Then Dragon's Lair, when that came out, that was revolutionary for me. Cartoon control. When I play games, I love a good story, and I love to be able to control that story. And that's what some of those games that have done since then have got really good. A more modern version of that is Alan Wake. I love Alan Wake. That was, to me, that was awesome. Mass Effect is another type of game like that. But I would say the arcades were really where my core is.
So since you play games to make content, do you struggle to play games for fun? Or do you just consume games differently now? Or do you only play games now for content?
I play some games for content, for sure. But I would say that I only play games for content that I enjoy. I don't play it. We get, probably 50 emails a day. Hey, can you highlight my game? Or Discord, can you please, shout me out and everything. It's not that I don't want to. I just have to be engaged enough with it. I have to enjoy it enough to really let our audience know how good it is. We're very concerned with being authentic. We don't ever want to put something in front of our audience just because somebody gave us money or did something. None of that. We have to believe in what it is that we're putting in front of our audience, because John, especially with the journalistic integrity background from the news days, that's very important to us. That's why I think with our audience, they really appreciate our opinions and really become loyal to the brands that we promote on our channel. And that includes the video games, the hardware companies, everything. We had a lot of people reach out to us, especially as you start to blow up. You've had a channel. It's when those numbers start cycling, you get calls that you never thought you were going to get. And
in the beginning, you're begging for keys and stuff. and then you get to a point where you go, okay, I'm begging you to stop emailing me keys, please.
I got a spreadsheet. I'm a spreadsheet guy. I've got a spreadsheet that probably has 500 unused keys on it right now.
Yeah. And
we just give them away during live stream. So if you ever want a free game, come to one of our live streams. We give away 3 every single live stream.
You heard it here. So, are you much of a game collector too then? So I know it sounds silly what you do. You obviously love games. Do you collect? Do you have a massive collection?
No, and that's very sad for me. A lot of the games that I had when I was younger were sold off by parents at garage sales. The typical sad story, right? And now that retro gaming is blowing up for everybody, I can't really reacquire a lot of it because it's just too expensive. I'm looking at 2600 cartridges that people are asking $100 for, and I'm like, this was just $250 at Goodwill like a month ago. What are you talking about?
But my understanding is that all YouTubers are filthy rich. That's not accurate.
Yeah, we're all filthy rich. But that's why we stay rich, because we don't spend.
Right. Oh, got it. Okay. Yes.
No.
So, did you buy anything at Midwest this year? Was there anything that piqued your interest though that you found that really you just had to have?
Yeah, there's so over in the other side of the vendor floor here where we're at, there's a couple of gentlemen who There's one, Castlemania, I think it is, and they have a whole bunch of games and stuff, as well as peripherals to help you connect to hardware. I got a couple of stuff from them. Also, there's a gentleman right next to them that I didn't buy from, but I want to, that has 3D printed components for your older retro gaming systems that make them more usable with today's equipment. So like he has a little Bluetooth plug-in for your Nintendo GameCube that lets you play with any modern controller.
Oh, awesome.
And it's plug and play, it's not soldering or anything. And then I think one of my favorites that's here is Songbird Productions. They produce their own games for the Jaguar, which obviously has a lot of ties to this convention, the Lynx and stuff like that, and they're all original games. I'm telling you, the Songbird games, they're awesome.
Well, if you get a chance, I'll give my friend a shout out. He does a lot of the 3D printed stuff. I don't know if you saw it. There was a 2-piece, because it's so huge, Mike Tyson from Punch Out. It's
really?
He had to do a 2-piece. He told me it takes 3 or 4 days to print 1/2.
Man.
But it is so cool. But yeah, that's the sort of stuff I find myself, because when I opened my game store, I sold my entire collection to start it.
Oh, right.
However, when you have a game store, you see lots of stuff come in. So my collection has gotten to hoarding status probably at this point. But
if you love it, is it really hoarding?
Not to me.
Right,
now,
it's just collecting.
Now when I pass away and my wife has to go through it all,
then it's
maybe
hoarding.
a different story.
Yeah, the narrative changes when you die.
Do you go rummaging? Do you ever go garage sales and stuff?
Yeah, all of us do. Mo, John, and myself, we all three. On the weekends, we usually produce a few less videos, so we try to find time on like a Saturday or Sunday in our different areas, and that's a little bit unique for us. So we don't live in the same city. John and Mo live in a city called Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
And I live in Tallahassee, Florida. We're about 2.5 hours away.
Okay, that's substantial.
So we have, from the very beginning, done everything remote. So when we go out, we don't get to go out together because we don't even live in the same city, but we all go out and we find little thrift stuff, and that's made its way into our content recently as well. We do these little thrift find videos where John was even looking here. Somebody had like one of those little Mattel handhelds that he really liked, and he almost bought it, but the backpack he has is too small. It's already full. But that kind of thing, it's made its way into our videos, and it's very gratifying to find those little things that maybe when you were a kid, you might have seen it at Sears or at Montgomery Ward's or Kmart or something, but you couldn't get it because your parents didn't have the money. But now you can find it at a place like MGC, and it's like you're reliving that childhood again.
Like I always say, when you're a kid, you have all the time in the world and not any money.
Yeah.
And then when you have the adult money, you don't have any time to enjoy anything you buy with it.
I'm happy that as a Gen X grown-up now, in my 50s, my kids are all out of the house and got their own lives and everything, so now I'm starting to get a little bit of both. I've got the money and I'm starting to get some time back, so it's nice. When I retire, I'll go nuts. I'll probably spend every dime we have at one of these places.
I have that fantasy of I will be retired one day and I will play all of the games I've been buying. You know, like that's the dream, right? Like that's all we want. You know, we just want that time. Like I always say to my wife, if I'm ever too much to handle, just put me in a home.
Right.
If I have access to my video games and there's Saturday night bingo, whatever, just leave me in my room, leave me alone.
I bet your Steam library has about 1,000 titles in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, probably 1,000 to 2,000, I believe is the number. Yeah, I can't pass up a deal. Also, though, I also love
Humble Bundle, baby.
Yes, and I love indie devs, right? And I look at a game and it comes out, it's $6, right? And then it's on sale for 20% off for their we just launched sale. To me, if I can pay someone $5 to help them achieve their dream, to me that's worth every penny. I may only play the game for 5 minutes, but it's so cool. Like the indie, and when I was walking through the hall yesterday and I'm walking up and down at the indie games, I'm like, this is what it's all about. This is how this industry started.
It's such a smart way for MGC to brand it. Every convention I go to, it's the indie game area, the indie game dev area, something like that. But Future Classics, that was so smart.
Yeah,
I really like
that.
That just caught me. And it's a very large area over there, and there's a lot of great systems there. Our very first convention that we covered on the channel, we heard about a convention and we drove up to it for a day. We met what has turned out to be basically a lifelong friend group who are indie game developers, and they have created some of the most fun games. Indie game devs, look, I get that you want the Madden 2K, blah, 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 AAA, this, that, or the other, because every commercial you see tells you that's what you want. But I'm telling you, the best gaming on the planet is in the indie game scene right now.
Yep.
It's not even close.
Well, I don't want to take up your whole day because I'm sure you got some other places to be, but I got one more question for you.
Absolutely, hit me.
If you could change anything in the video game industry, what would you change?
Fair wages. Yes. 100,000,000%.
As my friend who's in the game industry says, yes.
It's absolutely ridiculous, the amount of corporate greed, and it's not just in the gaming industry, it's the entire landscape of global business and economy. And I know I grew up running businesses. I've had multi-million-dollar businesses in my lifetime, but the one thing I always made sure of, and I don't understand why companies say it can't be done. Well, I understand why. I don't believe in why.
Right, you don't believe what they tell you, but you know why.
Yeah. One thing I always did with any business I ever ran, I made sure that my payroll was a minimum of 33% of my gross. Minimum. Now, I know every other company will make like 20% the max of gross. No, you're not treating people right that way. They're not staying loyal. They're not going to be good employees. They're not going to be good helpers for your customers. And more importantly, they're not going to be happy, and you're ruining lives, in my opinion, when you force people into situations to accept the pittance that you give them for all that they give back to you. I'm not saying you didn't create a business and you don't deserve your riches. Absolutely you do. But damn it, how many freaking yachts can you water ski behind, as the Wall Street quote goes?
Do you need to make 30 times your employees, or can you just make 10 times?
Right.
Well, and that's something that is, especially in the games industry, because it's an industry a lot of people, it's glamorous, right?
Yeah.
It's one that a lot of people are interested in, right? And they're willing to take a pay cut to work in an industry they love.
Yeah.
And like I remember, and not exactly the same thing, but before I had my own store, I worked at GameStop for many years.
Oh, yeah.
And they paid virtually nothing.
Yep.
And I had a drawer full of applications, and they didn't have to pay anybody anything, because if I walked or anybody else walked, they had a drawer full of people who would work there for as much or less than I was making.
Yep.
And so unfortunately, there are some companies that take advantage of knowing that their employees want to be in that industry. And unfortunately, in games, you see a lot of burnout, and they leave the game industry, and some of your most talented people are gone.
And I mean, not to be too stereotypical, but a lot of people who come into the gaming industry are typically your shyer individuals who don't stand up for themselves like they maybe should, and those people are far easier to take advantage of. And when you have unscrupulous decision makers who are only looking at numbers and not human beings, that's going to happen, because, not to burst anybody's bubble, but humans are greedy by nature. If we haven't figured that out yet, we are. We're terrible, and it takes work to not be that way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that the gaming industry really needs to focus on. And it's not just, fair compensation. I mean, there are so many practices, and we've seen the stories over the years, especially the last 10 years, of people being abused mentally in these industries and being told you need to 60 hours a week is a minimum. Bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm on your live stream, I don't mean to cuss, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
60 hours is a minimum? Are you kidding me? No. Everybody needs a fair shot at life, and I mean life, not work.
You have to find that work-life balance, and I know, and you've started companies, I've started my one company, and in the beginning you don't even think about it. You just know you got to get done what you got to get done.
Right.
But it's different when you do that for yourself.
When you're choosing it.
When you're choosing to do it for yourself, and you're not, I don't ask that of my employees.
Nope.
I don't expect them to do what I do, and
Yeah.
Can you plug your YouTube channel for everybody, and where can we find you online?
Absolutely. So GenXGrownUp.com. We have a website. The YouTube channel is the main place to find us. It's youtube.com/c/GenXGrownUp. We're on Twitch as well, and we also have the podcast that everybody on the planet has, right? Everybody has a podcast. You can find it on any podcasting platform just by searching GenXGrownUp.
Everybody, George Sumpter, thank you for taking the time in. We're trying to raise some money for the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, so you helping us get eyes on it makes our whole day, so I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Donate to this charity, donate to any charity you can. If you $2, I don't care, $5, donate. You think that doesn't matter? That absolutely matters. We see it all the time. We have a lot of our close friends of the channel in our Discord server. We just had a gentleman who he's got to have a major surgery with no insurance, and he's taking care of his elderly mother at the same time. And so he started a GoFundMe thing. And I'm just plastering that everywhere. And people who give $5, people give $100. Doesn't matter. Just help.
Well, we talk about a lot here, and my slogan has always been from the beginning, it's if we all do a little, it's a lot.
Absolutely.
And
That's a
we just
good
gotta keep
slogan.
doing it.
I'm a
It really
stealer.
rolls off the You take it.
I know.
And I don't know if you're familiar, so I'll give you the quick elevator pitch. So Extra Life is a program that was created by Children's Miracle Network.
Beautiful.
So it found people like me that wanted to help, and we just didn't know how. And I found this program, and it was, if you're streaming, you can set it up where people can donate to this while you're streaming and playing games.
You know what? We need to be doing
excellent.
that.
And so the best part is that you can choose what Children's Miracle Network hospital you raise money for. So if you decide to say, hey, I want to raise money for a CMN hospital that's in Florida, so
Right.
you know it's affecting your local area, making your community better, you can do that. It doesn't matter where you are. There's hundreds of the CMN hospitals everywhere. And so we play for Children's Wisconsin. It's personal to me. But you can choose it, and it's just fantastic. So it's interesting. Extra Life is interesting because we're not just necessarily about getting money today. We're trying to get people to help us raise more money for tomorrow.
Build the community and the money will flow.
Yep.
Right?
And like I said, I'm just a guy. I just own a game store. Rob in the blue shirt, he's just another guy that owns a game store. We're just volunteers. We love what we do. You know, we're not even technically working at MGC. We're just helping out on this stage to raise money. Like we're not even like vendors or anything. We're just here to try to help out. But it's cool that Extra Life gives people like us who want to help that vessel.
It's something that we should be doing, and honestly, I hadn't heard of Extra Life. You'd think I would have, right? But I hadn't heard of it until we were asked by the MGC people to come on to this thing here today. But we need to, so when we get done with all this and the cameras and the lights are off and everything, you and I need to have a conversation so I can understand how to get it set up for us to be doing. Because we do like 3 live streams a week. Why can't we do something like this to help those out?
And the best part too is that, and this isn't what it's about, right? But what I love about Extra Life is they offer incentives to the people that raise money too. And so like you raise over $100, you get a gold medal, you get a t-shirt, just stuff like that to, and the thing is it's just, like they even do a kind of a ranking, like you can rank it by state too, right? So if you're raising a bunch of money, like me, I'm an overly competitive person in a bad way, most likely. So I look at that and I'm going, I'm second to Wisconsin, and then I look at who number 1 is, like, oh, come on, man, this guy like writes custom Dungeons and Dragons modules.
You want the top score on the high scoreboard.
I want to be number 1.
Right.
They know us, and it's a great program. And Dave over here works for Children's Miracle Network, and he's in charge of the Extra Life kind of program and everything in our area. And we'll talk more about it. It's super cool, and it's so easy to sign up. Like you go to the Extra Life, it's extra-life.org. You go there, you just sign up, you pick the hospital you play for, boom, it's done. That's it. It's so easy, man. But we'll talk more about that. But again, subscribe, follow on Twitch, throw some donos.
Everything you can. It either does one or two things. It helps us keep the lights on and keep doing what we're doing, or we send it on to help other people. We have a saying that we started with 9 years ago. A high tide raises all ships. So everything is about working with all of our friends and community. If we can do something, then we bring somebody else with us. That's the whole point.
I love that. Thank you so much again for your time. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that was great. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.